La 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 la. Yes, that's the thing now. That's the thing we're doing. We're singing before the stream is even on. Or rather, before the image is even on. The I have the chat on and I have the live screen. I am just going to go bring my iPad up so we can see something. Perfect. Because today we're having an art stream. We like art streams. Oh, hey. Wait, I didn't know that feature was a thing, but apparently it is. So here we are. What canvas size do I use? I don't know. Let's go with the square one for now, because that's easier when you want to publish things later. Okay. Oops. No, we can't have the chat shutting down on me. Let's see if I can just change that setting for a second. Hello, hello, hello. Why is my phone doing that? Yeah, that's the one. Don't do that. All right, we're back. Hello again. Wish I could see the actual. There we go. Okay, we are back. Okay, we are back. We don't need that to sound that loud. No, we don't. There we are. Maybe we need a tiny bit of the sound. I don't know. Just so I can hear if it all goes out. Okay. So, what was I saying? I was saying girls with rainbow hair. So we'll just still do several. We'll start with one. Just go portrait mode. I have been doing so many ambitious drawings on stream lately. Like full body pictures with backgrounds or whatever. I don't want to be so ambitious today. I just want to finish quick things. Get stuff done. Not have to be all perfect about it. So we're doing some comfort zone drawing today. Comfort zone art. The best kind of art, right? At least that's what I think. Or, I mean, obviously there are nuances to that statement, but like, if it's for relaxation, then yeah, comfort zone it is. Right now, we just have a face. We don't have any hair yet. She'll get hair in a second. Oh, she has a very big chin, doesn't she? Not that there's anything wrong with big chins. I dig them, but I like whenever I draw a portrait, I have like a mental image in my head of what this person looks like. And in this case, I mean, sometimes I have a reference that I'm drawing from. In this case, I just really, blah, blah. I literally just have like a mental image. I don't have an actual photo today. But I looked at a bunch of pictures with like um, like the kind of hair that I want to paint for her. I did see that, but I didn't look at any specific like pictures for the face. Sorry, I'm just gonna take some tea. Okay. So whenever I'm like, whenever I know I'll be talking a lot, I like to have some tea with me to drink. I used to be like one of those people who were prepared with drinking water, and then I kind of fell out of that. And there's not as much drinking water in my life these days. I drink a lot of tea, let's say that. And a lot of coffee as well. Like some people will be either tea or coffee people. I am not like that. I can't choose. I'm firmly in camp both, basically. Okay, here we go. That's that's an outline for us. So then let's do some line art. Not that I think we'll still have like a painterly style for this picture, but I'm feeling a line art mode today. Ah, there's the raid. Leroy, hi. 16 people, that's crazy. Welcome. Hi, Ro. Thanks for the follow. Getting the drinks up. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's still my sound alerts. Yeah, so I am. Oh goodness. All the followers. Hi, Coco Bean. Thank you. How are you guys doing? Bet you're all. Oh, we love you, Nina. Thank you, Leroy. Hey, Coco. What's up? So now you've slipped right in from, I am guessing, a real shoot 'em up style stream. Now we're having a drawing stream, you guys. So a bit of winding down from shooting people up in Call of Duty or whatever that was. I am so like if you were to see me play a shooter game, I would be so bad. Like you have no idea. So I'm sticking to this. Hi Bob. What's up? Where am I from? I'm from Sweden. From Stockholm, which is the capital city of Sweden, although Sweden is is one of those really big countries which at the same time not a lot of people live here. Like if you were to drive from the southernmost part of Sweden to the north, it takes like 18 hours or something at a decent speed. At the same time we're only 10 million people. So hi Nina. Oh hi Coco. Yeah, Coco's asking how I am. I'm good. I am actually I've been doing a lot of like really I was saying earlier I've done a lot of like really ambitious stream drawings lately, like full on paintings. Right now I'm going comfort mode, comfort art, portraits, something like that. It's gonna be like a portrait themed stream that I'm doing today. Just chill drawing. All right. Oh, going to turn the sound down on that one maybe. Yeah, so I am just having a bit of a sketchy moment here. Leroy, what are you doing? Cheering on. Do I not have a cheer sound? I don't have a cheer sound. I'm sorry. That's bad. How did I not add that to my Streamlets? But those are some really are those snowmen in the middle of July? They are, aren't they? That reminds me I do need to make my emotes at some point. I haven't yet. Okay. That alert scared me. I yeah. There is no actual cat here. I need to remind myself of that. It's just a sound alert. Yeah, the all snowmen. Yeah. Yeah, go on and taunt me for living in a cold country. We had like the famous heat wave that was in the UK. We got 1 day of that, 1 day, and I wish we would have had more, but we had 1 day on Thursday when it was like 30 plus degrees Celsius, and today it's back to 15, which is, I mean, it's less than 60 Fahrenheit. I don't know exactly because I don't know Fahrenheit. I always had to calculate based on like online calculators, because I think the Fahrenheit scale makes no sense, you guys. That's like a shout out to the entire US. It makes no sense officially. Because the Celsius scale, that's logical. Like 0 is the freezing temperature for water, 100 is the boiling temperature, and then it's just linear between that. Really easy to understand. Whereas Fahrenheit, I don't know if there is even a logic to it. Obviously, there isn't. You guys are just indoctrinated into it from birth. So, yeah, it's cold here. Was what was I was saying? It's very very cold. Not snowman weather yet, and if I were to decide, I would never want to see snow again in my life. Like seriously, I'm not a snow person, so that's kind of strange coming from someone living in Sweden. But I have seen so much snow in my day. I'm done, basically. You guys can have all my snow. All the snow days from my future, I give them to you. Take them. Never give them back. Rogue says Leroy's good goat coming in with the biddies. Yeah, he is. Thank you, Leroy. They're much appreciated. Oh, hey, Lice. You're announcing your own arrival. I like that. Honestly, everyone should use that as sound alert just when they're coming in. Or I should have one of those, like a bot, which says the name of the person when you come, and then there's a small fanfare. Like they had in the old royal courts. That would be perfect, I think. But for now, I'll have to do it myself, so. Leroy! Again. Again? Really? Thank you. Even though you're using the snowman and reminding me of my my weather related traumas. Okay, I think we're finally to a point where I can start adding some color to this so that we don't have to seem like I'm lying with the rainbow hair name for this stream, because she is gonna have rainbow hair as soon as I get some color here. First for the background. La 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 la. It's very bold of me to call like this this dark white a color. It's barely a color, you guys. Barely a color. I don't know, she has to be super white though. Let's not. It's always funny to color your own line art because I keep thinking I'm doing some kind of coloring book thing from when I'm a kid, and then I remember, wait, this isn't a coloring book. This is something I drew. Yeah. Let's make a small palette over here. Little something for the eyes. And maybe the lips too, right? Maybe they should be some kind of rainbowy thing as well. I don't know. We'll see about the rainbow for the lips, but for now comes the fun part. So I think we'll have a base of light blue and then add the rainbow stuff on top of that. Because white is kind of boring as a base. It's hard to do much with that. Okay. Hi, Sims Mama. What's up? Glad to see you back here. How is the Sims? How are your Sims doing? Are they still alive, or have you drowned them all? Or are you not a Sim drowning type player? I think that's like the two different camps of people in The Sims, the ones who have drowned their own Sims and the ones who would never do such a thing. So I don't know, which camp are you? Let's see. Sims Mama says, I'm doing great. How are you, beautiful? I'm definitely a Sims murderer, LMAO. Yeah. Must admit, I am also guilty of having tried all the ways that Sims in The Sims can die, but I claim it's also for purposes of protecting them, because unless I know every way they can die, I don't know how to keep the Sims that I actually wanted to keep alive. Like, if I don't know all the ways they can die, they might just die when I forget to, like, I don't know, feed them or something. Why would they need to eat? That's so weird. But yeah, I'm doing good. I'm having a chill drawing stream today, trying to channel some rainbow hair vibes over here. I saw a lot of like cool images on Pinterest with people who had like real life rainbow hair, so I'm trying to. I was a bit inspired by that. Oh my god, that happens to me too, Snooze Mama says. Yes, it does, doesn't it? Like, you're so busy trying to fulfill all their other life goals, like they have their jobs, they have their kids, and then you forget to actually feed them, which, I mean, I forget to feed myself too, so it's only like makes sense that I can't remember to feed my Sims. Basically, I'm not surprised in the slightest. I feel like the game warns you, but it doesn't warn you often enough for me to actually pay attention. Ah, using those sound alerts. Yeah, that's the little kitty one. Like, I used to have a lot of like jump scare sounds, or like jump scare-esque sounds before I realized that the sound alerts I had weren't working. Um, but I find somehow the cat one, it scares me more. Because I mean, I don't really mind cats as such. I want to know when there's a cat around, and that sound makes me think there's a cat I didn't know about. Which, yeah. So I have a recurring nightmare, which is really really weird. But I dream sometimes that I have somehow gotten a cat, or like a dog or a small animal or something, and that I have forgotten to feed it, because I didn't remember I had a cat, and then it's died behind like a trash can or something in the house. I don't know what that symbolizes, if that's like deep psychological analysis fodder, but I dream that sometimes, so I would be the worst pet owner. Like, no. Don't give me a small animal to take care of, please. Oh, thank you, Leroy. More biddies. His mama says, "You're just like my sister." Yeah, in which way? In which way, I wonder? I'm sure it's a good way because obviously there's nothing wrong with me at all, so they can't be with your sister either, but like, yeah. I feel like kids are different though. I like kids. I feel responsible in a way for other people's kids that I see out and about, even though I don't know them. If there's like a child playing and it doesn't seem like the parent is paying attention to the kid, then I will look if the kid is about to hurt themselves, basically. Sort of watch out for other people's kids. But cats, well, I guess it would be bad to hit someone's cat with my car. I'm trying not to do that, but it's a whole different ballgame for me. I wouldn't say I hate cats, but and actually my brother loves cats, so he's a totally different. And he claims that I liked he had a cat once, and he claims I liked that cat. I'm sure I did, but and he also claimed that the cat liked me. I doubt that though, honestly, because I watched that cat on I think 3 or 4 occasions, and it tried to bite me. So my brother said that's how the cat shows love. And I mean, maybe it was. Maybe that was a very special cat, or maybe it just didn't like me. Oh, Tim's mom says that her sister will see a cat, squirrel, or dog and run. Yeah, well, I like squirrels though. I am house sitting for my parents right now, and they have a squirrel sort of living in a tree nearby. That one is cute. Even though it tries to throw nuts at my hair. Um, so I'm starting to think maybe the animals know somehow about me, and they all have it out for me, and that's why. It could be. Like, I mean, they are smarter than we think. So I don't doubt that they can sense things, and maybe that's why they have it out for me. But honestly, though, if I were a squirrel, I would also throw nuts at people. It does sound fun, doesn't it? Just finding a bigger animal and throwing stuff at them. I mean, I'm not saying I'm gonna go out and throw rocks at elephants because that's cruel, but if I were a squirrel, then I would throw rocks at people because who wouldn't, right? I bet it's a nice form of exercise too for the squirrels. Like maybe they have little like scoreboards. Like Jack, okay, yeah, you hit 20 people this week. Good work, good work. But Rosie is a rock throwing champion. She's hit 35 humans this week. Big applause for Rosie. Yay! Rosie the squirrel gets the gold medal in people hunting. I actually once dissected a squirrel for class. My biology teacher, and when I was in like, I want to say 8th grade, in like, yeah, it was 14. Her dad had hit a squirrel with his car, and knowing his daughter was a biology teacher, he brought it to her, and she brought it in turn to us in class. So we didn't each have one squirrel that we dissected. We all shared the roadkill squirrel and dissected that together. So maybe that has something to do with my fascination for, I mean, the last slash vendetta against squirrels. I don't know, but they're cute. They're just my enemies, in a sense. I won't hurt them, but they hurt me, so yeah. Biology class with that teacher was so random though. Another time she brought cow's eyes, in which case at that time we actually got one each. But cow's eyes are not that different. They are slightly different from human eyes, but they still have like many of the same parts. So that was really, really cool. I couldn't ever be an eye doctor though. I have friends who went into that specialty. I just could not. Like I could barely put in my own contacts when I was a kid. When I first wanted to try contacts, I was 15, and I went to an optometrist in Spain, which was, I mean, I was there for vacation at the time, and I was like, oh, hey, it would be fun to come back to school and suddenly wear contacts. So I wanted to try, and the optometrist was like, okay, well, you can try them, even though we usually don't do that for teens right now. Um, this was like in the 2000s, early. I guess it's changed now, but it was different then anyway. But he was like, okay, you can try, but you have to learn to put them in yourself. And I couldn't, so I convinced him to do it for me. And then when I came home, I couldn't get the contacts out. Like, I panicked, of course, as one does when you have things in your eyes which aren't supposed to be there. And I I started crying, and because I was crying all the time, I tensed up even more. And then of course it became even more impossible to get rid of those damn contacts. So they were stuck, and I had to go back like the same afternoon crying to the optometrist and have him take out the contacts for me. And as a teenage girl, I mean, that was the most humiliating thing. I didn't want to try contacts again for 6 years after that because I was so turned off from them by I mean, it was no fault of this optometrist. He was really kind about the whole thing, but he tried to like explain to me what was going to happen, and then I was like, being a teenager, did it anyway. Of course, had the exact issue that he warned me about. And then I wouldn't look at him for years. Like we visited the same office, and I was like, "Oh no, he's working. Wait, no, I can't. I can't if it's him." Hi, princess. How are you? I was just telling the whole stream about my embarrassing teenage visit to the optometrist. So there's that. And also the squirrels hate me. I feel like the conversation in chat, whenever you guys let me talk, I I can be so random sometimes. So I feel like that's one of the appeals for streaming for me, with streaming, that I get to talk as much as I like. And yeah, yeah. There's not really anyone to interrupt you. So that's always fun. Oh, she has pink eyes. She doesn't have pink eye, but pink eyes. I think that's a very, very important distinction, right? Because pink eye, not good for you. Actual medical condition. Yeah. But pink colored eyes, totally cool. Would like to see that on more people. But that will require having colored contacts, which again, I'm very nearsighted. So if I am to use, like, if I use or any of these fancy contacts, like with colors and stuff, then I either have to wear glasses at the same time, or not see, or order contacts with a strength to them. And then I usually use 1 day contacts that you just use them for 1 day and then throw them away. But if you order a certain color, then you would have to take care of them and blah blah blah. I can't be bothered, so I don't do that. I just go with my natural eye color. And I was about to say natural hair color, but that's not true. So actually, when I was in high school, not in junior high school, but like when I was 15, 16, I really wanted to have a blue dip dye. Like I had long hair at that time, and I wanted to have blue tips. And I never got that because I was afraid that I would get bad grades or something. Really, really bad excuse. Like, but I was very pedantical about my grades. So I never got the fancy blue hair. I did get very good grades though, so and unfortunately that made me link the two together even more, that it's because I didn't do it that happened. Of course not, but teenagers are so weird, am I right? At least I was a very weird teenager sometimes. In some respects. In others, not so much, but yeah. I actually went to a lecture recently though where they say they were like doctors seeing a lot of teenagers, and they were like, well, it's not the teenagers that rebel that you should be worried about, it's the teenagers that don't, because it's natural for teenagers to want to lash out, basically. So anyone who has a teenager, take that to heart, or anyone who will have a teenager in a few years, looking at you guys with the kids. It's fine if they rebel, basically. They're supposed to. And probably the same goes for like the 3-year-olds with their tantrums, but yeah. Um, I feel like her hair needs more colors to be properly rainbowy. So let's add some purple here. Speaking of the blue tips, right? Um, and to do that, let's go more pink higher up. I mean, the hairdressers who actually who do this type of color on people, they must have such a fun job. Like really, imagine having like a client who comes in and they have some sort of like, well, they have nice hair, but it's like some kind of natural color that they've had their whole life, and they're like, well, I want to do this stuff, and they show a picture of rainbow, whatever, and you're like, yes, I get to paint on a person. Much the same way I imagine that tattoo artists must feel like they also get to paint on people, and also their work stays. So I don't have any tattoos because I couldn't commit to anything for that long. Like you had to decide that you like something enough to keep it on your body for years, and I'm not that consistent, so I couldn't. But I think there are a lot of cool tattoo artists out there who do really nice work. So I wouldn't mind collaborating with one in some fashion, but I couldn't decide on a tattoo to have myself. Also, the older generation in my family would think I had gone completely off the rails. It's quite funny in Sweden because it's like this very strong generational shift about tattoos. Like anyone who's above 40, 45 thinks that it's a certain like I mean generally in that age group people don't like tattoos very much. On the other hand, in the younger age group, like below 40, Swedes are apparently by now one of the most tattooed people on the planet. So there is a very large like conflict slash contrast in society about that. And I'm kind of like camp both when it comes to that. I think some tattoos are really pretty, like when they're works of art, basically. Um, or when they really mean something to the person, that's also not fun. But then there are some that are just tattoos for the sake of tattoos that really, really look bad. I don't much fancy those, but I think that's like you can have a taste of art in general. You don't have to like every art piece that's out there. Oh hey, now we're talking. Yes. Now we have the rainbow feel going here. We don't need the palette anymore, do we? No, we don't. We can have that down here. Okay, so now we come to the point where we're gonna render this. We're gonna render this a bit more, but it's already, you can turn the line art on and off by now, and it still looks kind of, you can still sort of see what's going on, which is always a nice stage to get to. And actually, we're going to turn the line art down as much as we can, and then paint above it. I don't usually do it exactly like that, but we're gonna try today. So even if we're having a total like comfort moment with the art style, I can do some new techniques, basically. Back to the eyes. Oops, maybe not. Maybe the highlight goes actually here. No, not yet. We're not there yet. We'll go there in a bit, but not yet. No. Oh my god. What am I even doing, you guys? I was all like, oh, hey, let's zoom out so we can't see the lines anymore. Instantly goes back and adds new lines. Does this chick make sense? No, she doesn't. And that's part of the charm. Oh, hey. Oh. Oops. I feel like if you were to do one of those word clouds of like things I've said during stream, the word oops would come up very high up, I think. Like, I feel like I say oops a lot when I draw. Maybe I should just rename my channel that. The Oops Artist. No. But there's a reason it's called a happy little accident, because I feel that's a thing that many artists can relate to. Am I right? Yes, I am. I know. Yeah. I'm just jumping around with no direction. I feel like that's better. Now she can have a gleam in her eye, so she looks less dead. Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling. Rogue says I'm still here. That's good. I'm happy to hear it. You get to hear all my little chattering, and also see me not be able to choose a brush as usual. I feel like this is one of my weird resistance points, because there are all kinds of artists, digital artists, who use their own custom made, or like they buy special brushes to use for painting skin and whatever. And I have been resisting doing that for the longest time. Hi, Sherry! How are you? Good to see you. I love the colors. Thank you. I do too. I'm really like rainbow color. I think I've been watching too much like of people playing Fall Guys, which kind of has these really, really bright colors. So it's been ingrained in my mind from seeing it so much that I needed to put it out again in some way. I feel like that's what I do a lot with art, is just processing, either like processing mental things, la la la, psychology, or processing visual input, like really seeing a lot of really, really bright colors, for instance. Sherry says she's good and just waking up. Yeah, I woke up. I woke up twice today. First at like, because I went to bed at 8 p.m. yesterday, Swedish time, and then I woke up at like 4:30, and then I went to get some breakfast. I watched a few streams, and in the middle of one, I fell back asleep. And then I ended up going, like, really getting out of bed at like 11 a.m. something. But what is time but a human construct, right? Oh, I just accidentally made like a pink thing here, but maybe she can have those eye crystals. Speaking of raves. What's the Christmas song? No. We're not gonna do Christmas in July again. Although we had that talk in one of my earlier streams, and I still went there again. But I feel like my brain doesn't have a season setting. It just wants summer all the time, and somehow also Christmas music all the time. It's just one of those things. Now she kind of lost the smile that she had. She's getting like a looking too deep for rainbow hair. And Sherry says my brain went spring and fall all the time. I hate super hot and super cold weather. Yeah, I'm with you on the super cold, but I do like the super hot. I feel like I should really be living in a place which has super hot weather all the time. I don't know what's wrong with me that I won't just move. But it's also like I have my job and my family here in Sweden, so it's kind of, as of yet, I can't move full time. But at some point in my life, I probably will. Because we do have the super cold weather here, and I can't stand it, and I also can't stand the darkness in the winter. But like one thing, speaking of moving abroad, that I always like, I've been talking a lot in the past about wanting to do, is actually buy a castle somewhere. Like there are so many castles in Europe that you have no idea, and they sell them, and usually they're like very run down, but that means that you can get them for a couple of €100,000 maybe. No, which isn't like it's a lot of money, but it's not an insane amount. It's like you can also get a house for that amount, and it still only be like a normal house, but you could also get an entire castle. So, and then you'd have to renovate it, and you'd have to pay the upkeep, of course. But yeah, but I like at some point in my future I might buy one, and then run like an artist's haven out of it. Just have like musicians coming there and like artists, and have fun little like a bed and breakfast for creative people, basically. But obviously I need to be able to save up to do that, and I probably won't do it while I still work. Hi Ronan! Ronan says Nina with a lot of A's. How are you? Have you recovered from the radioactive fallout in your stream? Ronan says, I'm good, just waking up, and yes, I'm very excited to dive back into Fallout. I bet, right? It does look fun. Mm, I think that my brother has that game and I tried it at one point, but I never really I didn't get into it far enough to actually understand the vibe, which I think you need to do that to really enjoy it. Like it's one of those games with a lot of an air to it that you have to get. But it's also a very intricate concept that they go all there, all the way, which I really like in any creative, whether it's a movie, whether it's a game, whether it's a book or something. If you can see that the person behind it, that they have gone all the way with the idea that they had, I love that. Human creativity is such a cool thing in general. I love that we can just that we tell each other stories, we paint pictures, we write music, and then we just have this intense urge to share what we created with other humans, which is cute in a way. And I think I said this on stream before, but I think that that's one of the fundamentally human things, the ability to create things, and just for the sake of creating them, they don't have to have a purpose besides the creation part. I'm just checking something on my phone really quick. Okay, we're back. No, I close it down. Patty says, "Hi, Peppy. Are we able to buy these?" Yeah, I'm going to update I have a couple of print shops. I think they have the links on my Twitch, actually. I should add that. But yeah, I do make prints of my art. I just haven't added the latest ones from my stream to my stores yet, but I'm going to do that and add the link somewhere on the page. Because I draw them at a big enough size to print by default. I just tend to forget to actually print them. But I the walls of my own apartment are very empty, which is strange. So I need to even make some prints for me to keep in my own apartment, basically. So I'll get on that. Once I finish this, I'm going to go upload a bunch to some print site or other. Which also reminds me, I need to update my link tree. I have one of those the sites where you can put all the links to all your stuff and just have one link that you send everyone to. But mine is actually on my domain name that I bought on a WordPress. It's a WordPress site, and I keep forgetting the web password for my own WordPress, but since it's like I created that website, the only one I can request the password from is myself, which is unfortunate because I don't keep track. So yeah. But best case scenario, I saved the password somehow in my computer, like a standard auto login thing, and then maybe I'll be able to get in, update the password to my link tree. Okay, let's see, what am I looking for even? I'm looking for a brush. And here's the brush that I was looking for. See, I was wondering why she's looking so weird, and I realized she's weird because she doesn't have any eyelashes. Which, I mean, that's fine. Some people have very, very pale eyelashes, like me, or some people don't have any eyelashes at all. That's fine. But just she has eyebrows, and usually, if you have eyebrows, you usually will have eyelashes as well. Like there are diseases when you have neither, but and you can also have neither as a consequence of like being in chemotherapy or something. But yeah. We're not there yet that we can add any to her because we aren't done with the eyes yet. Okay, let's merge. Mergey, 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 merge. Okay. I think her skin lacks some color. And yes, I'm right, it does. We need to fix that in a little while, which is soon. Yeah, more tea for me. Okay. Oops. Was that the third or second time that I said oops this stream? I don't know. maybe next time when I remember to add the closed captioning that I've been thinking about forever, maybe then I will actually. I mean, forever was a strong word. I've been thinking about it for like 3 weeks, maybe, and not gotten around to it yet, even though I know several streamers who use them, and I could just pop into one of their streams and steal the same one. But I haven't gotten to that yet, and because of that, unless you're actually listening in on every word I say, there will be no proof. But yeah, that's the thing that I should be doing. Adding the closed captioning, actually setting up my Twitch emotes, which I'm planning to draw myself. I just haven't gotten around to them yet. Going to though. And then the link tree with the link to the prints and stuff. There's so many things to think about when you're like an artist online. Like, I just revived my old DeviantArt page by making one upload. Like, so now it lives. It needed just the one. And now I have like new followers and things over there. So I need to keep updating that, obviously. So I have that gallery, and I have my Ko-fi gallery, and I have my Instagram. I also upload art to my Facebook sometimes. Like, I have an art Facebook. All these different channels to keep track of and keep active and whatever. Yeah, but that's 100% my own idea. So, hi, Crazy Leopard. What's up? I'm sitting here vocalizing my mental to-do list for all the stuff that I need to do to my online presence that I have forgotten to do. So many little things. On the other hand, I can do them whenever I want, so that's fine. But right here we're drawing, instead of doing anything useful, we're drawing Rainbow Hair Chick. And this is probably the first one. I might make more. Might make these into series because I like painting rainbow hair so much. It's really fun, honestly. Anyone who's watching this who's also an artist, you should try. This is amazing. Like, you can just ignore all rules about color and use every color that you like all at once. Every color. No restrictions whatsoever. Which reminds me of another art challenge that I want to try later, which is the one where you start by choosing a palette, and then you turn the settings to your like drawing tablet or your computer to black and white, so you can't see which colors you're actually using, but you have to pick from the ones that you chose, like using the drop tool, and then you turn the colors back on and see which ones you actually ended up using. So that's the thing. Maybe I should try that for my rogue. Oh goodness, those sound alerts. I mean, that's such a simple one, and it still scares me. Crazy Leopard says nothing much cleaning the game room. Yeah, the game rooms need cleaning, just as any other room. I should probably do some cleaning after this as well. I just did a load of laundry, which was finished like 5 minutes before my stream. Thanks, Bob, for the cat sound. I should add like a squirrel sound, given that I just spent the first 5 minutes or something of the stream talking about how much the squirrel living in my parents' garden hates me. But I wasn't able to find any squirrel sounds on the. I downloaded these from like a free Sunbank. Um, like they're royalty free sounds. Um, so I would have to go out, find the squirrel, somehow protect myself so it doesn't throw more nuts at me, and then record it as well. So I get the sounds that the squirrel makes, because it's a lot of really high pitched sounds like and then it goes basically like that. And then it goes throw and it hits me with stuff. Basically, it hits me with its own trash. Like it'll eat a hazelnut. Yay! Fanfare for Rogue. You deserve one, so. Yeah, but basically the squirrel, it'll eat the hazelnut, and it mostly throws the shells at me. So it's basically the squirrel trash. The squirrel thinks I'm a trash can, basically. Bob says, I almost said squirrel climb up my back. That sounds like a nicer squirrel than the one I have living here. Or maybe it was climbing your back so that it could, I don't know, so it could eat your head. Build a little squirrel nest out of your hair. Because I feel like the squirrel that I know, it looks at me with, it's cute, but it also has something in its eyes that makes you think that it has some agenda. Like some sort of a sinister agenda, I bet. But as I said, I'm not gonna do anything to the squirrel. I'm going peaceful style, letting the squirrel haunt me because it doesn't know any better. And or has a sense of humor, which, I mean. Just checking a thing. Yep. Okay. Good. Oh no. Shut that down again. La la da da. La da 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 da. Oh goodness. Hi, Ink Goddess. What's up? Welcome to the stream. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the biddies. That's lovely. Thank you so much. Oh, hey, I was just here talking about tattoos a while ago. Um, and I realized I haven't asked you how many you have and what they are of. I'm curious now. Because I was just thinking, like, I aesthetically, I like the look of many tattoos, but I'm very undecided. I wouldn't be able to decide what, if I were to have one, what it would be. I change my mind too often. You have like 7. That's a lot. That's cool. Are they like by many by the same artist, or have you sought out different people for them? And Incan says all of them but one are by the same artist. My half sleeve was by someone new because I couldn't travel the hours to the one who used to do them. But my new artist is amazing. Oh, that's good. I feel like if you want to have someone like actually create a work of art on your body, then it needs to be someone you like. Like you both like the art style and you like the person in a way, I guess, because I mean, at least for me, I would be reminded of the person who did the tattoo every time that I looked at it myself. So I would have to have someone who I really liked like as a person to be the artist as well. But it does seem like it takes a lot of planning to be able to find the people to do them. A friend of mine who lives in the city just north of me, she suddenly decided. I mean, I'm not sure how sudden it was, if she had thought about this for several years and just never mentioned it, but at least to me, she suddenly mentioned, "Oh, hey, I want to get a tattoo," and I started to like look for artists, and then within a month she had gotten it done, and it was a very like genre a niche request that she had, but she ended up really liking the person that she found. It was like, I think she was an apprentice in the tattoo studio that she ended up going to, but she was really like open and they could discuss the concept, and my friend ended up being really happy with what she got. So that was a good little tattoo story. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to decide on something to tattoo myself with, because I don't think that in my life thus far I have ever liked something consistently enough for a long enough amount of time to reassure myself that I would be able to like still like a tattoo for more than a couple of years, basically. Which I don't know what that says about me, but yeah. Oh, hi, hi, Smithy. Can I call you Smithy, or should I go the whole SOAC Smith? It's always like with people's usernames. That's why when I know someone's actual name, that I tend to use that, but I realize I forgot what yours is. So, and also a lot of people want the others to use their usernames rather than their real names, because the username is something they've chosen. So I feel like that's a funny. I mean, really, and honestly, legal names and usernames, I don't see why. I mean, the legal names that we have most often that are things that our parents chose for us, or that we can change them and choose them for ourselves, but the usernames will always be something that we chose ourselves. But that might be Smitty's fine. Typically I just go by Smith. A buddy of mine calls me Smitty. Oh yeah. I have the most usernames that I have used online actually since like perhaps since I was in high school. Most have been in a variety of my real name. Currently, like the one I'm using right now is actually my full real my two first names. And one is the one I go by officially. That's the second one, and then my whole family and now online people call me Nina. But I actually go by Vilhelmina for work. I switched the priority of them when I was in my teens, because I knew like 3 other people called Nina, and I wanted to be original, have a name of my own, basically. Again, the teenager self doing stuff. Yeah, but as a result, I'm not very good at making up usernames for myself, because more often I will go by some version of my real name. But I went once when I was in like an online anime style forum. I went to T-Love for ouch, rogue. Are you using all your points for balloon pop sounds now? Yeah, I went by T-Love for several years, and then people kept calling me T, which, I mean, apparently I have liked tea for long enough, so I could get like a teacup tattoo, I guess, if I were to actually ever tattoo myself with something that's consistent enough. But yeah, it was weird to be called T by people, especially since I have a cousin called. Her name is Dorothea, so her nickname is Tia, which in Sweden is spelled the same way as the word tea in English. But yeah, so I felt a bit like I was using her name. Yep, using your points. Yeah, well, they are there to be used. I should probably create some emotes that you guys can unlock instead of just using the scary sounds. And Smitty says, I'm not either. My first gamer tag on Xbox was Smith 1103 because my dad made it, and then my first PS account, my brother said use Smithonator, and yet that just wasn't me. Now I just use my clan tag. Ah, so the SOAC is the clan. Yeah, having your siblings make up your nicknames, that can end up very many ways, can't it? Like my brother had very like a very fantasy style gaming tag at one point, and now he has kind of more of an ironic one, which he has had for like 10 years, I think, but at this point. it's not ironic anymore. You can only claim that it's irony for so long. But it's actually written half in German, half in Russian, and I can't pronounce it. So there is that. Now she's getting some eyelashes here so that we can stop feeling like she's eyelashless, which is a weird word. I'm not sure it actually exists. Or it didn't until now. Oh, hi Rex. Thanks for the follow. I feel like that sound also surprises me a bit too much, but there is that. I chose that myself. I have to live with the sounds. That's the thing in life, you have to live with your own choices, right? Da, 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 da. Oh, I like that white highlight here. Let's go with that here as well. Yes, like this. And like that. Yeah, okay. We're gonna go back and build the background up again. So kind of forgotten about that. Or well, background and background. This is gonna be like the school photo style background where there is just a random gradient going on. And nobody really knows what it's supposed to be, not even the photographer knows. It's just there. I think we're gonna flip this. Okay. Let's see, how weird is it? It's not too weird. Could have been weirder. I feel like it could have been a lot weirder than it is. That's good that I was able to keep from weirdness. The worst of it anyway. Oh hey guys, by the way, those of you who have been here in a while from since I started the stream, can you tell me if the ad breaks are to this, like if the spacing is good? Because Twitch wants me to have a certain number of ads, like to avoid having a long ad in the beginning. You have to have at least 3 minutes per hour apparently, and I have spaced them out as 1 minute at 20-minute intervals, but I'm not actually sure myself if that's too often or if it's okay. Because I could space them out even more, but then they would have to be a bit longer, which I feel is more annoying. I don't know though. I don't know though if it's what the case is with that. Where's the light coming from? Damn it. The old usual issue that I keep forgetting. Damn it. I feel like this is one of the the lessons as you study an artist. You will learn not only like things in general about art, but also what that particular artist's go-to mistakes are. And I feel mine, if I'm going to be super transparent here, which apparently I am. I have told you guys during the stream about one of my recurring nightmares as well. So, in the name of being weirdly super transparent, one of my go-to art mistakes is not being able to decide and or remember the direction of the light source in a drawing. And here we have a prime example, because I don't know, is it from the front and above? Is it from behind? Is it from the side? Who knows? It's probably a bit of all of them. It will have to be tuned now because I can't go back and change it. So, like this artist is a bit of a mess. It's fine. I am allowed to be. Dum, dum, dum. Okay, let's flip it back a second. And now, I seem to recall that I said I thought there were too few colors, and I still agree with me. It's good that somebody does. Oops. Not that one, but this one. So we're just giving a tints of color to the skin to make her feel more alive. Hooray, hooray, hooray. She's alive. She's alive. Have you guys read the book Frankenstein, by the way? The book is so different from most of the movie adaptations, and it's seriously one of my favorite books. Like Mary Shelley, genius. Absolute genius. She was like 21 when she wrote that too. So I once went to Switzerland for like, I mean, I was nearby, so this isn't, it wasn't a huge effort, but I went to Switzerland solely to see an exhibition of the original sketch for like the original sketch, what's it called? The book, anyway, the notebook that Mary Shelley had when she wrote Frankenstein. Just to see those papers, I went to Switzerland. So they were really cool, though. I will say that. Now we're talking. Now I'm starting to like this. See, sometimes all it takes is a bit more color. And apparently an artist who can't hold the drawing straight for more than a minute. Because where is the fun in that? Yay! Hooray, we have some blue. Blue dip dye as revenge for the one that I never got when I was 16. I mean, it's not like the funny thing is, it's not like I actually asked my mom to let me do it, even. I just I asked myself whether it was a good idea, and I wanted to do it, but I said no. So, like, if I ever have a kid and that kid comes to me wanting to do something like that, they're gonna get to do it. I'm gonna encourage them because I didn't encourage myself. I do realize that it's not too late though to actually get like the blue dip dye, but I had purple hair uh like a few years back by accident. Or rather, I had this I had lightened my hair, I had bleached it, and it had turned out a touch too much on the yellow side, so I found this like temporary purple dye to go above it. Um, and I, on purpose, I called it a mistake, but it was 110% on purpose. I left it in for like 5 times the amount that it said on the package because I wanted it to stay purple for a while. And it did. It was fun. But I also have, I mean, I had a serious job then as well, but I had a more junior role. So it was easier to get away with looking like basically a little rebel in a way. Um, but yeah. See? The colors made such a difference. Off, back on. We love it. So much better. Okay. Katie, thank you for the follow. How are you? Lots of hype. Yay. I like those little hype emojis. They're so much fun. I need to make on my list for emojis I'm going to make for my own channel. A hype one is definitely going to have to be on that list somewhere. Oh hey, I haven't used the addition layer yet. Speaking of, we need some highlights up in here. Oops, that's too much of a highlight. Too big. Huh. Um, hmm. Going back to the pinkness. And Sherry says, sorry I'm being so quiet, filling out my Twitch affiliate papers. Congratulations. That's cool. It's great that you got there. I'm happy for you. Oh, that's good. But yeah, there was a lot of paperwork. I wasn't prepared for that either. Much the same way that I wasn't prepared for all the features that you then had to add and think about to your channel. Yay, I'm excited for you too. It's gonna be so much fun to see what you do with it. Ah, okay. Katie, did you take a inspiration from Rogue there? Yeah, you did. It's good that you guys are using your channel points for good and or evil. The channel points are meant to be used after all. Yep. Yep, like that. Someone got stuck in the mod in the bot there. Well, I don't know what that said. Probably someone trying to sell some service where you buy followers or something. There seems to be a lot of that going around today. I think I've been in like 3 or 4 different streams where that's happened today. Bronin says, I had 2 back-to-back last night during stream, lol. Yeah, I think yours was one of them, but that was like really early morning for me. They seem to be doing, I mean, someone must be buying them because they keep trying to sell. Yay, fanfares! It's funny how the cat one scares me, the balloon one scares me, and the fanfare one, I'm just like, this is normal. This happens. More like I'm trying to look towards the door and see who's coming. So yeah, we'll definitely need to program the bot to customize the shoutouts by playing a fanfare first and then doing the thing. For top medieval court feels. So not that necessarily like needs to be very medieval, but like those old school castle vibes. Nom, 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 nom. I know you, I walked with you once upon a dream. I know you, the gleam in your eyes is so familiar with me. Oh wow, okay. Should have put that one tones lower. Okay. That was the shininess down. Yes. Now we're gonna work this in too. This is nice because I think that so far I might actually be able to finish this within the time frame I had set for myself to stream today. Which I feel is good because that helps me actually finish it. Otherwise, it might get stuck in work in progress land. I should totally make a folder of my iPad called that, which is very. Although sometimes it's quite nice to, like, when you want to just have the dopamine rush of finishing something, it's good to leave like breadcrumbs for yourself. To have like a piece almost done lying around somewhere, and then you can just pop in and work on it for like 10 to 15 minutes, and then it's done, and then you'll have finished art that day with very little effort on the day itself. That's smart, I feel, self psychology move. But we're not going to do that with this one, because at this point I feel like I've done so much of it on the stream that I'll finish it as well. It's gonna be done on stream. And then we'll upload the print later, because you were asking about that. So we'll work on the prints, we'll add the link tree. I'm just reiterating my to-do list for myself here. Prints, links, about me page again. Rather. And the emotes. We mentioned them as well. Although speaking of finished, I have this. I feel like I want to get back into a more polished, like, painting style. I'm not going to say that I feel like I'm totally unpolished, but I'm looking for the ideal look that I have in my art is somewhere between painterly, like something that feels like it could be painting with real paints, and something polished looking. Like there's a very, very specific middle ground that I'm aiming for. But couple that with my impatience in general. Hi there. Thank you for the follow. And is this Evan from Low Gaming's other account, or am I remembering that right? Yes, it's Evan. Hi. I figured as much. I didn't realize at first that there were two of you in that team. So I went to your chat when you were streaming, and it was your friend doing the at the channel. So yeah. But streaming seems like a fun thing to do together with someone. It does. I just need to. I'm trying to be very like public with my streaming for my like every time I go online streaming, I post an alert on my art Instagram account. And my hope is, well, by doing that, it's not necessarily to get my art friends to come watch me stream, it's that they will also start streaming so I can watch them. But so far, I haven't been able to convince anyone else to do it. But if anyone watching this is one of my art friends from Instagram, come here. Come on. You want to do it too. I know you do. I'll watch you, I promise. And yes, you are good enough. And yes, you can. Come on. It'll be fun. I feel like in general there's too much gatekeeping going on in the world with that. Like people, not only people trying to, I mean, regulate what other people get to do, like if they're good enough to do X or Y, but people regulating themselves, which they should be doing themselves. Evan says, I'm trying to convince Atlas to let me do some art streams for the channel. Lol, I just need to figure out the setup and everything for it. Yes! Do it! Atlas should 110% let you. Art streams are so much fun to do, so, and watch. I'll come watch you guys. Hi Frank, thanks for the follow. I love how bright that little follow sound is. It's very... Didn't know I wasn't following. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for the biddies as well. It's so nice of you. Although I feel that like that happens. Like you'll be in the same like online environment as someone, but there'll be so many people. Like that you kind of lose track of who you have followed in which platform. I've had that too with like art friends who I've met on one forum, and then I realized, wait, I'm not following you on the other site that we both use, which it happens. Because you feel like you've already connected with that person, I think, and then I mean, the whole social media slash online world that we've created for ourselves, that's not very, I mean, in real life, if you were um if you meet someone like you live in the same village or whatever, then once you have met that person, you have met them. It's fine. You don't have to like, oh, I met you in the smith's shop, so now I also have to meet you at the well before we properly know each other. That's not a thing. But online, it is a thing. And that's just it's so unnatural for humans too. So I get that. I get that we forget it. I also always feel kind of weird when I try to convince people to come from one of my online presences to the other. Like if I want them to come from my Instagram to watch me on Twitch, for instance, I'm like, oh, it always feels a bit like, well, you're trying to make someone go into a room that they don't really know what's in there. And if you do that IRL, that's also a bit weird. So, but people do that on the other hand. So, here we go. Here we go. Here we go tonight. It's not night yet, though. Not even here in Sweden. It's still only 5:40 p.m. in GMT +2, which is my time zone. La, 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 la. Oops. Oopsie doopsie. I feel like this hair jewelry thing is one of the things I need to de-sketch before I call this finished. We're not too far off, but we're getting there. Evan says I literally woke up like 30 minutes ago, like just after 8 a.m. lol, so it's crazy to see the big time difference. Yeah, well, it is kind of something that we made up as humans, the time zones. I get that they make sense, that like it would be weird if otherwise we would just have, oh well, in the US 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. is the day, and in Sweden that same time is the night. That would be confusing. But this is also confusing. The fact that the planet is round is confusing. The sun is confusing too, but I mean, I'm not calling myself a flat earther here. I know that we have a sphere that we're living on, but it's still weird. Just because it's true doesn't mean it's not strange, right? And then going from that to realizing just how tiny the Earth is in comparison to everything else in the universe, and how short human existence has been in relation to the like existence of the Earth. That's just, oh, thank you, Evan. Saw you were streaming and I had to pop on to, you're one of my favorite streamers to watch. That's so kind of you. Thank you so much. Hi, Andrew. What's up? Nice to see you made it to my stream. So Andrew is also an artist. He does mostly traditional stuff, but we met each other in his stream a couple of days ago now. So anyone looking for more art streamers to follow, you should go follow Andrew as well. I'm good. I have just been working on this. I started this piece when I started the stream, like an hour and 40 minutes ago. I'm almost done. Exactly, there's a mafia of us. Yes, there will be. There will be. We're gonna take over the site. Just you wait. It's just a very slow takeover. But that's the way, that's the most politically effective takeover way, I feel. Like, if you do it all at once, people are going to be too shocked. But if you do it slowly, very Machiavelli style, but very slowly, they won't really notice it's happening. And then one day you'll just have taken over it and it's just perfect. It's fine. The drawing is looking super nice, so thank you. I'm liking how it's coming out myself. I'll probably make some kind of series of this with people with just really, really crazy color hair, because I have a whole Pinterest board of just images that I saved with women looking, having mostly women, because I mean, I guess with the longer hair it's more common, but doing all these rainbow crazy hairstyles. So I was inspired by them. I'm just trying to find the little areas that still aren't finished enough for me to call this completely done. It's still like overall sketchier than I would like for like the style that I am ultimately aiming for, but for this piece, it's kind of close. Oh, thanks for the reminder, Evan. I do need to hydrate, but I only have the tea, so there's not going to be any water. Oh. I'm such a tea person. This is only my third cup. I want to say third, but I think it's the second today. That's not enough tea. I'll have more with dinner later. And Andrew says, makes sense, I just downloaded a bunch of new references from ArtStation. That's cool. New inspiration time. Are you gonna draw or stream one of them later? And Emma says, tea is good enough of a hydration for me. I absolutely love tea. Yeah, me too. I wasn't a tea drinker until I was maybe 17, and we had like also in biology class, I realized I have a lot of stories from biology class. But yeah, we went on like a camping thing in the forest as a school project, and we stayed in like a cabin, and the cabin was so cold, like we were freezing. And to add to that, in the middle of the night, a couple of guys in my class, they were Muslims, so they went up to like pray in the middle of the night. It was already super cold, I couldn't sleep anyway. But yeah, that was just a thing. And I didn't sleep for that entire trip. And I caught a cold from hell, and sorry, I need more tea here. And I lost my voice for like, I think I lost my voice for like 2 weeks after that. And that's when I started drinking tea. A lot of tea. And because it saved me from not being able to talk, because obviously I love talking, I ended up loving tea. So here we are. 17 years later. But yeah. Andrew says, should I may have to drop off? I'm using my phone as a hotspot and it's almost dead. That's okay. I'm only planning to stream for a little while longer. I'm almost done, so it was nice to see you here. I will schedule your stream in my calendar so I remember to pop by and see you draw again. I'll probably I will definitely share the finished project of this on my Instagram later. And as a print, because we were talking about prints, which I need to get back into. Just add those little ways of making your art more accessible. I just realized I haven't shadowed under her chin at all. Damn it. We can't have that, can we? We need to do that, and then maybe it's done. Shoot. And meanwhile, Evan says it just feels like Zulsi is one of those perfect rings to either calm yourself or just to make a drawing period feel more relaxed and nice. Right? It's very like that's another reason I have so much tea. It's just such a nice mood setter. Like I will sit it up when I used to also in my teens pull like drawing all-nighters. I would drink so many cups of tea for that. Let's see if let's see what's going on here. Okay, good. At some point. Just needed to check my schedule a bit. Oh. Just realized also we have 20 people in here. That's so many. It's probably good that I didn't think about that before, because it's kind of a weird thing. Like, It's one thing to just sit and draw in front of your computer and there's a couple of people writing in chat. And then to imagine that you have, well, there's actually 20 people. It's like a full classroom of just sitting there watching. And some of them have balloons that they pop, like Rogue and Katie. Oh, Evan! Thank you! Thank you for being the first subscriber. It's so nice. You get to hear the sub sound. I'm just gonna make some emotes that you can use. I just need to get there, but make them. Make those emotes. So since you're the first subscriber, if there's a particular type of emote you think I should be making, feel free to tell me and I'll make that one. And then you can use it. And I can use it because apparently I didn't know this, but as a Twitch affiliate, you're automatically like tier 3 subscriber for your own channel, just so you can use everything that you create yourself. And I guess that makes sense, but you don't get any money from yourself, so yeah. It would also be really funny though if you didn't support your own art, like, well, this Nina, I don't know about her. I'm glad I could be the person that says, yeah, that's fun. Okay, we shadowed under the chin. We took away most of the sketchy lines in the hair, not all of them, there were some. Yeah, gotta do this. Gotta get the stars shining. That reminds me of the Paris Hilton song about stars. Okay, my mind is in a very 2009 music mindset at the moment because I actually went to see Lady Gaga on Thursday here in Stockholm. Amazing, by the way, like really amazing. And she started the show by playing some of her hits from 2009-ish, and then that set my mind off afterwards to apparently my brain is now living in 2009 music-wise. But that's fine. I had a good time, I feel, in 09, so I think we're done. You know what? Yes, we are. Because if I do anything else, I'm only going to mess this up. And we don't want that. We want a messless piece. I'm just going to figure out where to sign it. What about here? Yeah. Has my other name here as well. We don't usually do that, but let's do it. Here we go. Rogue says it looks great. Thank you. I should add the signature is going to be on an addition layer, actually. A bit smaller. I love that you can do that with digital art. Just change your mind about the size of things. You can't do that if you actually paint with real paints. Then it's stuck the size you do it. There we are. That's better. I like that more. Okay. That one is done. It's gonna be a print later. So anyone who wants to buy a copy and print it and have it on their wall or whatever, you can buy one. And thank you so much, Evan, for subscribing, and for everyone else for the bits. For both to Frank and to else is inheriting biddies, Leroy and Ink Goddess. Lots of people. You guys are so great. Thank you so much for watching me. Rogue says you're amazing at art. I couldn't do that. Well, I have been a digital artist since, for almost 18 years. So there is that. It's not like I woke up like this. But thank you. And yes, I'm going to close this, and we're actually going to read out to another person from our friends in the castle. Let's see if I can bring up the chat. Where is it? I'm using OBS and the stream. The chat window is hidden from me. Here we are. We're gonna see what Bob is up to. So, Rogue says I'm amazing at art, but I could say the same about you guys and your gaming. I'm not, like I said in the beginning, put me in front of a shooter, I can't hit anything. And Rogue says, like me with streaming, oh my god, it's a stream. Yeah, you are. I'm still gonna call you Rogue Raving, Elise, because that's your new name now. Just gonna double check the spelling here, the username, because it's very, very unfortunate to raid the wrong person because you can't spell. Let's not do that. La, la, la. Okay, I think we are all set to go out to go see what Bob is up to. I hope he's on. Look at even Emma's little badge. Yes, have a good rest of your day too. We're gonna go over and actually let me double check before I click this that we're not sending him. Wait, am I following him? 1 second. Okay, yes, he's on. Then we can go. Let's see. Over to Bob's. Bye, guys.